Alright lads, what's the crack? We are back once again with another episode of Who's Got the Ball? Myself and Shane here, a day removed from Tipperary winning the All-Ireland final. Had to throw that in there from the start. What did you make of it?
Tipperary did the whole world a favour, thankfully. I just didn't want Cork winning it. I really didn't. So I was over the moon. At half time, I felt a bit defeated. I thought the goal right on half time was
Yeah,
absolutely, it was the killer of us. But the fact that Tip came out in that second half and just from the first minute of the second half just bossed us. Cork
yeah,
couldn't get near to him for the whole of the second half. 2 points is crazy, and particularly in an All Ireland final.
yeah. No, I just thought the performance in the second half was unbelievable for Tip. Like I actually was in the same boat as you. I thought the game was over after that goal went in, and I was like, Tip will just rue them and the misses they had. And then to, like
Mm.
you said, to only score 2 points, I don't think I've ever seen that in football or Ireland, and especially in Ireland for that to happen. It's madness and a half. So credit to Tip, they played unbelievably. I think McCarthy at just 19 years of age was,
Unreal.
oh my God, I just so good. And he'll be great for years to come for them. So fair play to them on getting it done.
Yeah.
Um, an interesting thing that I heard them say before the game on the pundits, they were like, it was the last two times Cork were in the All Ireland final. I think they only scored one goal, and that for a team that scores so many goals this year, they're like they'll probably need to score more, obviously, to win a big game like this. But it shouldn't be a
Mm.
problem to them. And then they only scored one goal again. So I was like,
Yeah.
wow, that's pretty damning stat. But
Yeah. The one as well that they said at the start, and I was like, oh God, is this how deep into the mire they go now? They were talking about omens, and the only two times the Open has been held in Portrush.
yeah,
Tip have
yeah,
won the All Ireland that year. I was like, are they really going to that level? But
that was
turns out they
unreal
were right
stat.
to go to that level. Yeah, that
Yeah,
was unreal.
Um, actually, speaking of Portrush and Tip, the both of them did me a good thing because as I mentioned, I backed Tip and Galway to get to the football final. So when that let me down, I said, here, Sunday morning, I said, I'll go back in for Tip again, double them up with Chris Goddard to finish in the top five, and he cruised to a third place finish, and Tip won,
Yeah.
so won me a nice few bob. But yeah, that was the main bits of the weekend. For this episode, we'll continue our little intro as we've done the last few weeks. If you're not familiar, we're just going to let you know what we talked about in the episode. So we covered off some bits. Not much going on in the NBA right now, so we left that one off. For today, we went and previewed two teams again in the Premier League. So this week we've got Brighton and Everton. Then we did a bit of a transfer window roundup. Now we're recording this on Monday instead of Thursday, so we won't have all the transfers. So forgive us for that one. As I mentioned later, I hope we don't upset you when you don't see your most latest transfers in the Friday morning. But then after that, we moved on to the NFL previews. We finished up the AFC East as last week we did the Bills and Jets. So this week we covered off the Patriots and the Dolphins. And then we rounded up with a fun draft. We drafted the best head coaches across NBA, NFL, and the Premier League since 2000. So that was a fun one. Hopefully, you enjoy the
Yeah.
episode and get right into it. All right, lads. So the first team we're previewing this week is Brighton. They're next on our list, so we're going to preview them the same way that we've been doing for the last few weeks. So we've just got 2 weeks left of these previews. So first question, as usual, where do they need to improve the most from last season? Do you think?
I couldn't believe when I was going through these how many teams need to improve defensively, but Brighton are right up there as well. 62 goals they conceded last season. Set pieces were a problem from all season as well. I know they've a really young squad full of good players. It seems to have a good kind of camaraderie there as well with themselves and the manager, but 62 goals and still finishing eight. Imagine what they could do if they got that down
I
to
think it was
45 to
59, I
50.
think,
I
last
saw
season.
62.
That
Maybe it
was
was
West Ham.
59. Oh, okay. Yeah, so
Because I
even
think,
59 is
yeah,
mad.
because I was looking at the same thing and I have that they had the most goals conceded in the top 15 outside of West Ham. So
Okay.
I think they had 59 and West Ham had 62, but yeah, that was the exact same point I had because
Yeah, it's an awful, yeah, 59, yeah. It's still an awful amount of goals we concede. And if
yeah,
they can bring it down to 40 to 45, they could very easily jump up another place or two on that table. Like losing
Yeah,
7-0 to Forest, like just completely imploding,
yeah,
it's just outrageous.
yeah. Just out of nowhere, the team kind of showed their youth in that one, that game.
Mm.
Forest weren't. They were bouncing back themselves, I think, from getting battered by Newcastle that time. So yeah, that I have the exact same thing. I said defense, just for the same reasons that you had. You can't be like the most in the top half and then the most in the top 15 outside of West Ham. You're basically having a similar defensive record to the teams that are getting relegated or around the relegation zone, which, yeah, you can't do that if they want to keep continuing as they are, which is they want to get back into Europe. Like, so,
Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty, yeah, their defense is pretty bad. And I think it's because of the youth of some of the players they have out there and maybe the manager too. It's hard to know. But then, next question, who are three players on their team that will make the biggest impact this season?
So I've gone for a kind of a defensive midfielder, a defender, and an attacker. So I've gone for the new signing, Maxime de Cooper, the new left back slash right back they brought in
Yeah,
from Club Bruges. He looked a real player last season. I was surprised a top four, top five club didn't go for him. He can play both sides really, really well. He's really, really good delivery. He can take set pieces, can shoot. So I think he's a brilliant signing for him. And it was something they really did need to improve whichever side he plays, especially now it looks like Estupinian is going to go to AC Milan, so he looks like a really good replacement in straight away, which is something Brighton have been excellent at doing throughout their time in the Premier League. It's like we'll sell him off and then we'll bring in someone else. We'll sell Caicedo, bring in Baliba, who
yeah,
is the next man I'm going to talk about. If he can continue growing on the season he had last year, he'll be their next 100 million player next summer or the summer after.
yeah.
Still very, very young, had a really, really good end to last season. Bit of a kind of a sticky patch in the middle, which you would expect with young players as well. But he really does look a real good talent. And finally, another player who, if he can continue what he did last season, he's going to be incredible. And it's Gruda.
Mm,
He was towards the end of the season, he tore Liverpool to shreds. Himself and Ayari absolutely ran Liverpool to pieces. I just think he's a quality footballer.
yeah, I've gone for at least one anyway. Is a similar idea to what you. But I went with Kadioglu because of the fact that Estupinian is leaving, and I think he's their highest paid player on weekly wages
Mm,
for the season ahead right now. So he'll have a big role to play. And now, like you mentioned, the Kuiper could play, or the Cooper, however you want to pronounce it. I don't know.
yeah,
But if you could play him on the right, as you said, he can play either side, or Kadioglu will play on the right. Um, I don't know which one will, but I'm sure one of them will because they're both seen to be good prospects and players that will be a big part of the team. And if Estupinian goes, they're going to have big shoes to fill. So I went with him first. Second was Matoma. I just think that he's the best player on the team probably, and if they turn down the big money that it was rumored they were offered from Saudi, I think in January, it was like 70 million or something like that for
yeah,
him.
mad.
So if they're going to turn down that kind of money, they clearly see him as one of their best players for the future. So yeah, he's going to continue to be good for them, and it seems like he's going to stay there. And then last I went with Kostoulis, the striker they signed from Olympiacos, 35 million euro. I think it's just crazy to see someone born in 2007 cost 35 million
Yeah,
euro. Just doesn't seem right. But Brighton have great scouts, and I think if they think that he's the next kind of striker to come in and lead the line for them going forward, then there's no reason not to trust him. He's clearly Ferguson is not going to be the guy there. We'll come on to his move in a bit, but I think, yeah, I think he might be the one, the next one. I don't know too much about him, but I think that if they can bet him in the same way they did Ferguson a few years ago, that'll be something impactful because they know they'll have a striker for years to come. And just an interesting note on him. Well, not interesting, but just his height, 6'1", and it got me thinking, what is like the ideal height for a striker? I think it's around that spot because you don't want them to be too big because otherwise sometimes they're like not fast enough or whatever, or they get a bit
yeah.
falling over themselves. And then if they're smaller, they're not as good with headers or a presence. So I think that's the sweet spot. And I just want to know, like,
Yeah,
what do you think on
I,
that?
I,
Thousand?
I think 6'1" to 6'3". I think 6'3" is a really good height for a striker. They still have pace. They're strong, win headers, as you just said. I think between 6-1 and 6-3 is good. You don't want another Peter Crouch. You don't want really someone that's like 6-5 to 6-7. Like it just look at your man at Southampton last year. I know he was a menace in one or two games, but he's just awkward in general.
Yeah.
Paul Anuachu. So
Hmm.
I think 6-1 is a really good height for striker. For centre backs, then it's a different story. You do want your 6-5 to 6-7
Oh
at
yeah,
centre back,
yeah,
but not up front.
yeah, yeah. No, I think it's the sweet spot around that. I think 6-1, 6-3. I think has a lot of even. It's so rare. Like I know that I'm not trying to say here now that Xerxes is a world beater, but at 6-4, the control he has is very rare for that size
Yeah.
of a striker. So it's kind of hard. And then he doesn't really have much pace. So it's like you're sacrificing that. Then he has a presence physically, but he doesn't use it that well. But he has really good control.
Hmm.
So it's a bit strange for his height. But yeah, that got me thinking when I looked at his height. But anyway, back on track here. What is the ceiling with the current manager and squad for this season? I said here that to get back into Europe will be the aim, and I think that that's also the most they could do. And I capped it at sixth because that's what they did in 22-23 when they got into Europe. So I'm going to go with that again. I don't see them getting any higher than that.
Yeah, but I put a ceiling of seventh on them, so we're in around the same again. I think just getting into Europe again has to be their aim this year. They had a really good start and a good finish to last season. It's if they can just do a consistent full 38 games. Obviously, you're not going to play perfect every game, but if they put together a season the way they finished it, then they could very easily be pushing back into the top seven, definitely.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's probably realistic to say that they'd finish in the like 9 to 7, 6 range, but it's also
Hmm.
a ceiling for them because I don't think they have the potential to go any further with the young squad they
No,
have.
no, they're definitely not going to be pushing Champions League spots. Not yet,
No,
anyway.
no. But one piece of business do you think they need to do to help them
I
into the
think they
season?
need a solid centre back, someone with a bit of experience. Well, they have a lot of young fellas in there now. They signed another one who's
Yeah,
23. They have Van Hecke,
they
very
signed
young
two
as well.
more this window alone, like young
Two
lads.
centre
So
backs, yeah. And that they have Aaron Cashin as well, who doesn't look like
yeah,
he's going to. He might end up going out on loan, I'd say, because he didn't get a look in last season. I think someone like I know this is outrageous now, but someone like Milan Skriniar, he's wanted he's not wanted by any club he's at the moment. Anyway, PSG don't want him. He was in Saudi for a while; they don't want him. I'd say if they could get someone like him in, might be completely unrealistic without European football, but I think he'd be a big presence that would make a massive difference from someone like him.
yeah. I was on the edge of saying centre back, but then I just thought they have so many. But I had the same idea. They need someone who's older, because I don't think Dunk has much left in him, and to be perfectly honest, I actually think he's overrated. I think he makes a lot of silly mistakes and he gets bailed out at times. But I strayed away from that one and I actually went with the fact that they've done so much business already. If they have no intention of giving Cashin or Andy Moran time this year, then just cut to the chase and loan them out or sell them
Hmm.
because there's no point in wasting good young Irish talent. I don't want to see that happening. So that was my one piece of business that I like. I think, you know, obviously it doesn't help them this season, but it may help them in the
Yeah.
long run. And I think they've done all the business they really need to so far already, and just they need to go with the squad they have. But yeah, centre back is hard to argue with, I think. But just the fact they have so many, I couldn't see them signing anymore.
Yeah, but all the ones they have are so young, bar Dunk, that they do need someone that can kind of fill Dunk's role to a better standard than he fills it. Because as you said, I agree with you. I think Key has always been a bit overrated. There was links
Hmm.
of him to Liverpool, to United, to Arsenal about a summer or two back, and I was
Mm.
like, I don't know where, don't know what people are seeing in him because I'm not seeing it anyway.
Yeah, and when he played for England, I was always shocked. I was like, how
Mm.
is he getting into that squad? But
Yeah, well, look at the England squad now anyway, but
true, true, yeah. Bit of a mismatch at the moment. Some unbelievable talent, and then some guys are like, well, he's in there. Fair enough.
yeah, shocking.
Um, but anyway, let's move on to our next team. Your rivals, Everton, the blue side of Merseyside. Do you want to throw me the first question?
Yeah, so where do you think they need to improve most from last season?
I think we surely have the same answer here. Like they could not
Yeah,
hit a
I would
barn door
imagine
last
so.
year. They couldn't
Mm.
score. The least of any team outside the bottom three, 42 goals scored. They're gonna probably hope that their new signing Tierno Barry, who we covered a couple of weeks ago, can help them, and they're also gonna hope that Beto can keep the Moisey form that he got when Moyes got
Mm.
in and trusted him. So they're hoping probably a combination of those two will help that. But yeah, 42 goals is just abysmal. So that's a big point of improvement.
Yeah, I had the same thing. Obviously, I think it was really too hard to look past that for anything else. They underperformed their XG by 14.9 goals,
Oh my
and
God.
their conversion rate in the league was 7.9%. So 7.9% of their shots that actually went into the net. So they need to make a big improvement of that. It's outrageously bad.
I'd say like 10 of that XG underperformance was Calvert-Lewin.
Between
He's just,
Calvert-Lewin and Beto, I'd say, yeah,
yeah, just shockingly bad, and he's gone now.
yeah,
So I
terrible.
think, yeah, they finally moved on from him.
Yeah, it took them long enough, and then United were linked to them.
Oh, jeez, I know. When I saw that, I was like, please no.
Yeah. Speaking of players that are still there now, who are the three that you think will make their biggest impact this season?
Um, the fact that they have such a small squad, there's not as many to choose from
Mhm.
right now. They don't have that many senior players, but I went with Jake O'Brien. I think he's an obvious pick. Just so physically talented, like his ability on the ball, his size, he can win headers, he's fast. Just the perfect centre back, and they need to start playing him at centre back. And I
Mm.
think they need to play him next to Brantwaite, and because I've also picked him, he's him next to O'Brien. I just think would be an unbelievable partnership. Time to say, definitely way overdue time to say goodbye to Michael Keane, but it's time to say
Mm.
goodbye to Tarkovsky as well in that starting lineup because those two are together, O'Brien and Brantwaite, I think would be really good. Um, and then the third one, I think Enjoy is probably their most talented player, but I went with someone different. I went with Irogabunum, the young centre mid. Everybody seems to go mad about him. You see like compilations of him playing like when he's younger, and when he does get on the pitch, he's a big presence. Apparently, like he's going to be one for the future, definitely. So I'd like to actually see that this season from them, and I'd like to see him play a lot if he is going to be, one of the next up and comers. So I think at 22 years of age, it's time now to start showing this potential that everybody seems to see.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. I also did have Jacob Ryan. I said I have him for. I put him down as a selfish pick, because I think they do need to put him in beside Brantwaite as well and just see where they go. I think the two of them, they're both 6'5". Um, they're both really good on the ball. One right footer, one left footer. I think it's just the perfect
Yeah, it's
partnership. It's a
perfect.
partnership that in 5 years' time, if you saw us one of the top five, we're like, yeah, that's the best partnership in the league. So I think they need to
Yeah.
start building on that now. I put in Pickford. I think he's
Mm.
the reason that they're so good at the back. I really don't like him as a person, but he always shows up for Everton. He always shows up for Everton. It's really impressive. He's had the most fantasy points the last 2 seasons in a row as well.
He
I think
makes
we'll touch on
unbelievable
fantasy out
saves as
next
well
week or
sometimes.
so. Yeah, loves saving a penalty. He's really good with his kicking. I just think he's perfect for Everton. I don't think he'd be any good any further up the league, but I think
No,
for a team
no.
like Everton, he does a really good job. And finally, speaking about their lack of goals, I have put in the new lad, Tierno Barry. They'll be hoping he can get 10 to 12 goals this season and just push them up from their 7.9% conversion rate to something that's actually decent. Maybe something along 15 to 20 would be a good place to start.
Yeah. I think the goals are obviously important, and it's kind of we touched on it last week when we talked about they signed Travers as like the backup, and
Mm,
it's like hearing us talk there about Pickford and how important he is to the team just shows how little game time Travers is going to get. Which, yeah,
yeah,
not to dwell too long on that, but I just think I still can't wrap my head around it from his point of view.
it's still annoying. If they put Travers in goal, what do you think their ceiling is for the current season?
With Travers in goal, I actually like Travers a lot, so I would say the same as what it would be with Pickford. I'm gonna go. I can't really say any higher than 10th without having any more signings because they don't have much senior depth. They haven't made really any signings of note other than the ones that we've touched on already. So I can't see them finishing any higher than 10th right now with this squad. So I'm gonna say 10th.
Yeah, I have them down for 12th. Same kind of reasons as you. I think their squad is just so small at the moment. It's actually crazy. The amount of players they let go at the end of the season on free transfers, and they just haven't really replaced anyone yet. I think they've only made 2 or 3 signings, and
Yeah,
the last I was just about to look it up there and count the players while you were talking. I think they might only have 17 players in their senior squad at the moment,
yeah,
which is crazy, and 3 of them are goalkeepers. So if they can get that sorted, then 12th with all the luck in the world, a bit more goal scoring, and a good bit of investment.
Yeah, yeah, no, I think so. I think when we look at our like when we give our prediction, like a proper full one and our breakdown before the season starts of the table, stuff like that, it might be a bit different in a few weeks' time. That we could see them, I think, maybe a bit higher. Anyway, I could anyway, but right now I can't say any higher than 10th with this situation. And actually leads into the next question. It's hard to pick one piece of business that they
Yeah.
need to do. But what did you go for?
So I went for someone that can help Tierno Barry. So they've lost Jack Harris, and who wasn't very good anyway, but he was an option on the wing. They only really have Dwight McNeil. I think someone like Takefuso Kubo would be a really smart bit of business for him if they could get that done.
Hmm.
He's a bit of a goal scoring threat. There was talks of him going higher up the league, but I don't think he is. I don't think he is Champions League good. Everton do have new backers now, so I don't see why they wouldn't be able to bring him in. Have McNeil one size in the eye, in the hole, and then Kubo Taki Kubo Fuso off the other side, and then the new fella through the middle. Then,
Yeah, yeah.
so I think someone like him would be a good signing and just somewhere to build.
Yeah, I went also at a right winger. I didn't give any option, but I said right wing is they probably it needs to be first. They need a lot, but that should be first on the list because
Mm.
they don't really have a natural fit for that position at all in the squad. So a shot surely has to be the first thing on their shopping list.
Yeah, surely. So I looked it up there. They have 20 players on their squad list on Transfer Market. But one of them is an 18-year-old. There's a 21-year-old striker called Chermetti who I think played about twice last year. So it's probably in between 16 and 18 actual first team players in their squad at the moment, which is crazy at this stage.
Yeah, it's not even a full 18
No, it's not. It's not
match
a
day.
full matching. It's not a full match day squad. And when you have two goalkeepers on the bench as well,
Yeah,
you're looking for trouble then.
yeah, that's crazy to think about. But um, we'll move on then to the transfer window. So we're recording this on Monday this week instead of the usual Thursday because Shane is off gallivanting in London for a concert.
Hmm.
So we're getting this one done early. So there may be a few more transfers. So don't crucify us if we don't have them there from your favorite team. That's because we are recording this on Monday. But a little bit of business and a whole lot of nearly done deals. So I'll just look
Yeah.
at the done deals first. Um, Kyle Walker-Peters gone to West Ham on a free, just kind of a squad rotation backup for Wan-Bissaka. I don't think too much else needs to be said on him. But then John Arias signed from Fluminense to Wolves for 17 million euro. Now, I don't know much about this guy at all, but this strikes me as another West Ham situation where you got like a big payday from somebody and you're trying to fill the gap with a load of lads for a decent amount of money. Like, I think here he's like 27 years old. Last season in 35 games, he had 13 assists and 4 goals scored, and they're spent 17 million euro on him. So clearly they're like, oh, we're going to start buying a few lads to see if we can fill in the Cunha role. I hope they don't continue to do this and they actually
Mm.
spend a decent amount on a decent player. Not that this guy won't be decent, but it's just one of those punt transfers that it may or may not work out, and often they don't.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense. Like you, I've never heard of him, to be perfectly honest. One goal in 12 league games with 4 assists is not exactly tearing the world apart. And I don't know how Wolves have just pulled this fella out of their back pocket and said, okay, let's slap him on the table and see what we do. I think it's a bit mad.
Yeah, yeah, I think so too. And then an outgoing is really the other main one that happened and is done for sure since we last recorded was Danilo, the defensive midfielder from Forest, has gone to Botafogo. 23 million euro. I think they signed him for like 21 million euro or something like that a couple of years ago, and now he's gone back out. I thought he was very good, solid player, but I can only imagine that he probably wanted to go back and play in Brazil or something like that because, yeah, it doesn't make much sense for them to seek out selling him for the same money they bought him when he's young and he's talented.
This is a bit of PSR diddling about it, I think. There's a lot of
Possibly.
deals going on between Forest and Botafogo at the moment, so I won't say
Oh,
too
yeah,
much now.
sure.
But
Yeah, I
I think
forgot
it's a
that.
bit of I think there's a bit of PSRing in this whole thing now. But we'll see. I think I agree with you. I think really really good player. He's
Yeah,
only 24 as well. He's still developing. He was brilliant for him. So it's very strange that they just bin him off for the same price they paid it for him.
Yeah, I think he fit into their system nicely as well. So I thought,
Yeah,
yeah, no, that makes more sense. If that is possible, we're not saying anything. We're just making suggestions.
uh,
But yeah, I forgot they signed the two boys from Botafogo like last week.
yeah.
So yeah, that lines up a little bit possibly. So we'll look at then a couple of big ones that look to be done from Ornstein. It's basically waiting on medicals, but one of them is obviously for your Liverpool, Hugo Ekitike, £79 million in total, with 10 million of that as bonuses based on success. So 6 year contract, and he's going to join up Liverpool for the preseason tour. What's the feelings on it?
He was obviously the second choice. We might still get the first choice. Who knows? We'll see. But I just, from what I've watched of him, as I said, I think I said it last week that I've never watched him play a full 90 minutes, so I don't really know a whole lot about him. But I've seen compilations of the goals from last season. If he finishes as
Yeah,
well as he does in that, I've also seen a compilation of his last 30 shots from Frankfurt, and some of them are quite something, to be perfectly honest. There's a lot more going in Rose than the goal
yeah.
combinations will let you think. But do you know what? It's not a bad price in the end. I thought it was going to be a lot higher with the way they were talking at the start. They thought they were. It sounded like they were pushing for that €100 million. This is a good bit below that. If I
Yeah.
do my maths right, so just have to wait and see. I hope he does well. I think at 23, it's a good time to be bringing him in. It is the same age Isak was when he went to Newcastle, and they have the same kind of profile. So hopefully he works out. And if not, then we'll just bring in Isak to play alongside him anyway, and
You're
Rodrigo
just
and Marquez.
you're just relentless. You're just relentless with this. I think you should be
It's
happy
been
now at this point. But Akatika, I think that should be, apart from sales, obviously you need a centre back. But yeah, I think that's it.
yeah.
Yeah, I think you're in a nice position where you have good attackers already that can
Mm,
score goals in the Premier League in Salah. And you've got obviously a good attacking squad, and Verts has already been added. So I think he's the type of guy that you can probably bet him in, and he doesn't need to hit the
yeah,
ground running too
definitely. Yeah.
much.
I think the only way they'll sign another attacker is if Diaz does go to Bayern Munich, and then it will be maybe Rodrigo. There's a lot of talk of him in the last week. It could be Isaac. I don't think it will be, being perfectly honest. But geez, if it all started last week at Newcastle saying they want to pair Isaac and Ekitike together, and it ends up Liverpool are pairing Isaac and Ekitike together, then I'll be in the pub for the week. I won't be recording a podcast that week.
Oh my God, I don't think it's gonna happen. I'm banning you from Isaac talk until there's actually a signing from now on, because it's just
Okay,
too much
fair
now,
enough.
too much. Then looking on to one for my side of things is Marcus Rashford going out on loan to Barcelona. It's going to be 100% wage coverage, which is massive. That saves like £17 million for United next season, which is absolutely madness. And I think the buy option is only like £25 million then. But like the fact you're saving 100% this year, that's the extra like 15 million that you were looking to save. Like the Villa option was £40 million, so
Yeah.
it works out still around the same. So I'm happy that a deal has been done for him. I hope he does well there, because I loved him when he was at United, but things just soured towards the end. But yeah, I think that's one that works out for all parties really. Um, and then a couple for Fabrizio, and just kind of things that are in the works. I don't think there's any confirmation on these just yet, but Victor Osimhen, who we mentioned in our best striker draft, he's looks like he's going to go to Galatasaray for 40 million, and then 35 million in a year from now, and 10% on future profit and a goals based bonus. That's everything. He has a lot going on there, but he also can't be sold to any Italian club for
Hmm.
2 years. Oh my God, there's a lot going on in this deal, but
Yeah, which
he's
is
got his deal.
hilarious.
Yeah, he's going to light it up like for them. Are they
Yeah,
in the? I don't know. Are they in the Champions League or not? They are,
I
then.
think they yeah, I think they are. But I just think it's such a waste of talent going to Turkey at 26 or 27, 25 or 26. It's just,
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get how there's no one in a top league out there looking for someone like him, because he
I think
scored
he's
goals
just
everywhere
such
he's
high
gone.
wages, and he won't take
Yeah, it
any
could be that
cuts.
was then it's his own fault, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it seems like it's a whole money based with him, to be honest, from what I've been hearing. But yeah, I do agree it's wasted talent. A couple of others then. James Trafford, possibly going back to Man City, is absolutely crazy. Like they're in talks with Burnley to reduce the £40 million buyback clause. and it might depend on Ederson going, which may or may not happen. So
Mm.
that's just a mad story, and Newcastle will definitely be raging because they had him lined up, and we just said they need to just buy him, and now they've bet around the bush for too long, and looks like they might not get him at all. And another one that I thought was mad is Inter Miami expected to get Rodrigo de Paul.
Yeah,
I think he has still a lot of good years left in him. Like he's just building the Messi fanboy club over in Inter Miami now. He's joining Alba and Busquets and Suarez and all over there. So I just think, yeah, I just don't understand that because he's such a good player, and I think he's too early for him to be going there. But surely it's Messi related.
I'd say it's Messi and money. So he's pretty much done all he can in Europe now. In fairness, like, yeah, and he's won the World Cup as well. So why
Mm.
not go and play with the love of your life for a couple of years before you retire?
Like how old is he right now? Because I feel like he's still
I
check.
actually meant to look it up 'cause I don't think he is. Like, I'd be surprised if he's any older
He's
than 31
31.
or 32.
He's
Yeah,
31.
so I don't. Yeah,
Still has a good few years left in him, and
yeah, and
he
he's
should
only
want to
just
stay there
turned
and win
31.
something like the Champions
Yeah, he's
League
only
or
just
something.
yeah he's only just turned 31. He only turned 31 the end of May, so it's
Yeah,
far too early for him to be going to um,
yeah.
MLS.
We won't say, but if you want to see what Ugarte thought of him and Messi's relationship, you can look that up, and there's a video of what Ugarte, the hand gestures he made
Yeah,
during the Uruguay and Argentina games. Pretty funny, but next then we mentioned it already, but Evan Ferguson is going to end up with Roma, a loan deal with a 40 million euro buy option clause, a lot of money on the buy option, but from what he was valued at a couple of years ago, Roma will see it as a steal. And I really like this move, and I really,
Hmm.
really hope it goes well for him, and I have confidence that it will. What do you
Yeah.
think?
I'm delighted with him. Delighted with him taking that move, getting out of England. We've been saying it a
Yeah,
lot
we've
of
said
weeks
it.
now how we really want Irish players to kind of branch out. Festi did it. He's gone. He went to Italy and then went to Turkey. It's
Yeah,
great. I think the Serie A is perfect for him. It'd be a good pace for him to kind of build into it. I think who was their other? Oh yeah, I can't remember who their other striker was, but I think he'll go in there as first option now. Straight in as their first number nine, which will give him so much confidence when he's trusted from the start. And I just think I agree with you. I think it's a really, really good move for him.
yeah, and I think that like they've just got Gasparini as their manager, who's been brilliant with
Mm.
Atalanta, with a lot of young guys bringing them up. So I think that'll be really good for him too. So yeah, I like it, and as you just said, we've been wanting this for a long time, lads, to go over there, and thank God he's one of them that's actually giving it a go. So let's see how he gets on.
Yeah, I
I've
just
got
want
one
to
more.
just. Oh yeah, go on.
No, go ahead if you have one.
No,
Throw it
I
out
just
there.
wanted to just have a quick touch on the James Trafford one. I think we kind of skipped over it a bit
Oh
too
yeah, yeah,
quickly.
yeah. We do that.
Do you think he goes in there as City's first choice if Ederson leaves?
Yeah,
Like,
he does.
if there's bringing him back, is he going in as first choice?
Yeah, well, it's not. He's
That's
gonna be over Ortega, like. So
yeah. I wonder if they sell Ederson, do they bring him in one of these deals that Madrid do, where they bring someone back from bye bye for 30 million, and then sell
and
him
then
to
sell him
Newcastle for
again.
50 million and make a profit on him. Yeah,
If they don't sell
like I
Ederson, I
just
wouldn't be surprised if they actually did that because there's not a lot of teams that have the bottle to do that because they don't want to upset the player and agents and all that stuff. But
hmm,
City would definitely be one of the teams that would just do it.
yeah, 100%. Because I don't know if he is a Premier League winning goalkeeper yet. So if they brought him back in as their number one after his season in the Championship, I think that would
Mm,
be madness. And
yeah, I
dropping
know.
from Ederson to someone like him, who, yeah, Burnley
I
played
think he is
decent
very
football
good
last
though.
season.
I
Yeah,
think
well, as
he's
well,
not.
yeah, but I don't know. I think it would be a bit of a downgrade from what Ederson offers him to go down to
Yeah,
James Trafford.
maybe if you're looking at the fact that they would want to win like a Champions League, can you imagine him in goal in the
Yeah,
Champions League final? Like,
yeah, no.
not really. So yeah, it is probably a downgrade. But I was also like when United United sold Alvaro Carreras to Carreras to Benfica a couple of years
Benfica,
ago,
yeah.
and now he's gone to Real Madrid. But they're like United had a lower buyback clause, so they're on the Athletic Man United podcast, Talk of the Devils, they're like, oh, like they could have bought him back and then sold him like the way Madrid and stuff do to Madrid and
Yeah,
made more money
yeah,
that way than they did on the percentage like that they had on the sale. But a lot of teams just won't do that because they want to keep relationships and stuff like that. And Benfica would not have been happy about that either. So the teams want to keep a good relationship with other clubs too. But I feel like, yeah,
Yeah.
City will be one of those ones that don't care. Last one I have on my list is Ademola Lookman, who I think is class. He was so good in the time they won the Europa League in the final. He was just, yeah, like they was so impressed with
Incredible.
him
Yeah.
that whole season. But like, and then he seemed to be falling off a little bit after that. But I still think that he has a lot left in him. Obviously, he's very young, and I think it's time for him to take the next step now. And looks like he's heading to Inter Milan. Club to club talks are not completed with. I think Atalanta won 50 million and Inter offered 40 or something like that. So yeah, I think that would be a good move for him, and I really
Yeah.
like the player. So I think that's an interesting move.
Yeah. I don't think he's as young as you think he is. I'm pretty sure he's around 27. So I think
Yeah,
it's
I thought
definitely
he
time for
was
him to
like
make
mid
the next
20s,
step.
but
Yeah, I think he is. I think he was born in 97, so I put him 27 this year to go on 28. So
okay,
it's
yeah.
definitely time for him to try and move on to try and win a Serie A. I think things soured with Atalanta towards the end as well. Gasperini called him out as the worst penalty taker he'd ever seen and things like that. So I think he definitely did need
Hopefully, he
to
doesn't
get
say
out
the
of there
same about
this summer.
Ferguson.
Yeah, I know. God.
Ferguson has had some dodgy penalties down the years
Yeah, but more
already.
than a
But
couple.
yeah, so yeah, that's the last one I have. Unless you have any more, we can.
No, I don't think there's anything else really to touch on in that. I think, as we said, like we're recording on Monday after doing Thursday, so there was never going to be a whole lot between then and now. So we'll be
Yeah,
back up to fully business next week.
yeah, I think it was a pretty decent weekend for some big moves, but I think yeah we'll have a lot more next time, as you said. But we'll move on to the NFL then. We're doing two more teams this week. So we'll start. We're back finishing the AFC East because we did the Bills and Jets last week. So we'll start with the Patriots then. So where do they need to improve most from last season?
So their short play execution was 30th overall last season for finishing off 1 to 2 yard plays. So I think they need to get that up. That's what keeps you on the pitch, keeps your defense off the pitch. If you can make those 1 to 2 yard plays, I think they've done well. They've upgraded their offensive line and their running back situation, so that should help. But they really do need to get that up from 30th up into top 15 if they want to be doing anything.
Yeah, no, that's a good shout. Like you said, those smaller plays can get you like a third and two, and you're not risking then on a fourth and one or whatever like that. So
Mm,
they obviously are very important. What I've said is their leadership needs to be better overall. I think now that they've brought in Brable, obviously they have a clear leader and somebody who's done it at the highest level in the NFL and is a very respected coach. It just didn't seem like Gerard Mayo last year had a clear idea or path of what he wanted to do. It was like initially, I'm not going to be the, mean guy like Belichick. I'm going to be like
mm.
friendly with all the players and we're all in this together. And then it was a few weeks removed from that where he said all the players are soft and they all did
Yeah,
not like that. So that was a wrong path. And I think they've done well to assess that and move back into the right kind of more Patriots like direction. So leadership for me was lacking big time last year.
yeah. But it felt to me like Mayo was always in there for a year because they were waiting for Vrabel. Because there was
Mm,
talk of him going in there before they brought in Mayo. So I think they always knew he's here for the year. Let's see what we can do with him. And if nothing happens, unless they won a Super Bowl, he was probably going to be gone at the end of the season to bring in Vrabel instead. So I think that's a good shout. Yeah, I think the players kind of knew it themselves and just
mm.
stopped playing for him. Just had no
I
interest
think
in playing for him.
I think they did him badly there as well though, like the situation because they brought him in after Belichick as the successor kind of towards the end of Belichick's last season, which wasn't good and there was a lot of soured relationships there and then it was just he clearly wasn't ready for the job. So I think they really
Yeah,
kind of did Mayo a disservice more than anything. And they said they were going to stick with him even if it didn't go well and then nobody believed that. Like
first chance they
so,
got. Yeah, first
yeah, I
chance they
don't
got,
think.
they binned him off.
Yeah, so that was pretty bad, but that's business, I suppose. In these big teams, they don't care about cutting ties. But yeah, I think they treat them pretty badly. So who are the three players on the team that will make the biggest impact for you?
So Drake May, I think he had a really solid year last year. He'll be hoping for a big breakout year this year. He's a new target in Stephon Diggs, who is my second one here. I think he's going to go in there as our wide receiver one. If you show him any bit of love at all, then he just becomes a monster. And I think if Drake May can continue what he was doing last year, but he's finding Stefan Diggs, and they could be in for a really, really good season, I think. And finally, Christian Barmore. So they franchise tagged him. He's basically he's the key to their defense now, and we'll see what he can do for him.
Yeah, I went similar with you with starting with May anyway because I think he's the reason, along with Vrabel, that their winning over under line is so high, as we'll come on to in a sec.
Hmm.
But it looks like he has all the ability in the world, and he has the physical package and physical presence to play at the highest level and the confidence. So he was the first for me. Second, I went with Will Campbell. He was a real leader coming out of LSU, picked fourth overall. He's going to protect Drake May at all costs, as he said himself, and I think he's supposed to be absolutely brilliant at that position. There was some questions about some small things about like there was a lot of mention of him having arms that were too short for the position. People are like, "Have you watched this guy? Like since he was in high school, there's no way that that's going to make any impact on this."
Hmm.
So yeah, he's going to be an absolute beast. He's going to protect Drake May. So they spent a fourth overall pick on him. They must like him. And then last year I went to Christian Gonzalez. He's an absolute star. He'll be in for a huge payday at the end of his rookie contract, going into his third year now, and already in his second year, he made second team All Pro, which is amazing. Considering how some of the aspects of their defense last year were not up to the best level. But yeah, for him to be set there at cornerback, it's tough enough to find a star corner, and when you have one yourself, like yeah, I'm just really, really impressed with him, and I think he's gonna need to continue to be good for them because I think he may still see a lot of the field if they don't improve massively on offense this year.
Yeah,
Um,
big time.
and I didn't pick Stephon Diggs because he needs to stay off Cardi B and stay off Cardi B's boat, having parties and taking some unnamed pink substance and handing it around to people. Yeah, still that one is a bit of a fishy situation. I'd love to know what went on there and get the answers, but yeah, I think he needs to stop doing that. Even if it was a few electrolytes, that's all he was handing out. I think he needs to have the boats altogether. But
Yeah,
8.5 wins, that's the over under, very high. What do you think?
yeah, it's too high. I'm going under. I think realistically, I'm saying 6 wins to 8 wins. With the way things are, I just don't know where this line has come from. As you said a while ago, it's like they just expect Vrabel is just going to work a miracle straight away. I don't
Yeah,
see it. I just don't see him getting 9 or 10 wins.
yeah, I had the exact same. I said it's way too high. I think the Jets and the Dolphins even are going to be better this year than they were, and I don't think they'll reach the 8.5 win level. I think it's far too high. I think this is one of the ones that is nicely set up to bet the under on. To be honest with you,
Yeah,
and leading on from that, their ceiling, I said that they have no chance of the playoffs. To be honest, I don't think even at a ceiling, I don't think they'll get there. I think 8 to 9 wins at a push. If everything goes right, they'd hit that over, but I'm not confident they'd get near it. And I don't think they have enough to get back into the playoffs. Even if they did get like 9 wins, I don't think it would be enough.
same as you. I had 9 wins their ceiling.
Yeah, yeah, I don't think it's. I think it's just way too high. The way that I think fans are looking forward to it a lot, and that plays into it too because fans will get behind this and they'll back their team to get the over. And I think like whoever sets the odds in Vegas or wherever they're being pulled from for bookmakers in Ireland, it's like it's all based on the team too. Like the Patriots obviously are such a storied franchise and all their fans expected most of them and expect them to be challenging for Super Bowls, so they'll happily take like a little couple of extra wins on their bets and they're like, right, we can put this a bit higher because it's going to be their fans
Yeah,
that'll pile the money onto it. So I think they're smart in what they're doing there with the odds. So moving on then to the last team in the AFC East, we have the Dolphins. Where they need to improve most from last season, I said it's the running game. They only had like Devon Achan he led the team with 907 yards in total on the ground, and then I think Mostert had like not even 300 yards. Now they added Madison and drafted Ollie Gordon the third to probably help in this situation, but let's see how those two guys do because they need to be better there because they don't have enough two-dimensional offense. It's kind of It's when they're not that good on the ground, it's easier to defend against them. So this is massive, I think.
Yeah, I did look at that as well. Their running game was cat last year, as you said, but I did go with they need to protect Tua a lot better than they did last season, especially with how many concussions he's had now. They can't afford to let him get another two or three this season because it's actually it's going to end
Yeah.
his career very early and possibly his life very early. So they need to protect him
Mm,
properly
yeah.
and upgrade the tackle position in particular. They have brought in Sabanea and Daniels, but that's for they're the linemen. They need someone to actually stand in front of Tua and do what Will Campbell has said he's going to do for Drake May. They need someone that's going to do that for Tua.
Yeah, I agree. And like as you said, it's not a tackle, but they did let Robert Hunt go to the Panthers a couple of years back. So
Mm,
if they prioritize the offensive line, their running game will be better too. So yeah, the two things fit together, I think.
yeah.
So yeah, I agree with you there. I think that's a good point. The three most important players on their roster that will make the biggest impact. Who do you have for this?
So Jalen Phillips for start. If they keep him going, then himself and Bradley Chubb will be really, really good pass rushers. I think that's a good solid base for him there. Kenneth Grant, so really high draft pick again. He's going to be important for him straight away with by the looks of it off their interior line. And finally, Tyreek Hill. If they do manage to keep him, I think everything is kind of quiet down now. But he's he needs to be he needs to get back to the form he was in 2 or 3 years ago. He was absolutely brutal last year. I know I had him in fancy football, and he was just terrible. Like so, I think if he can get back to form, then he'll make something happen for him.
Yeah. I went with Ollie Gordon the third, who I mentioned, that drafted him in the sixth round out of Oklahoma State. He was Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year in 2023, so a couple of years back in college. I think if he can hit a decent height and add to that running game, I think it'll benefit them massively. Second person I've gone with is Minka Fitzpatrick, who they just got back in the Jalen Ramsey trade that we discussed a couple of weeks back. I think he'll need to return to better form than he had last season. He'll need to return to his form of previous seasons if it's going to justify the amount he gets paid and what they gave up for him. But I think he's an unbelievable talent, and there's a reason he was a Pro Bowler, and there's a reason that everybody knows how good he is. And as I mentioned already, I was looking forward to watching him when he came to Dublin, but that's not going to happen anymore. So I hope that the Dolphins get him back to his best. And then the last one is a bit of a cheating one, but I think it also lines up what you said. I said the combination of Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips returning from injury is going to be like signing two stars. When they had the two
Mm,
of them together, they combined for 17 and a half sacks in 2023. The two guys got paid and then they both got injured.
yeah.
Bradley Chubb specifically a horrific injury. So I think, yeah, if they get these two guys back and they stay healthy, it's going to be a massive difference for them on the defensive side of the ball. And they've already added Chop Robinson. So I think, yeah, it's quite it's quite a good room that they have there in that position. So let's see how it goes. I think they're in a nice position to let these guys play well if they stay healthy, which is a
Mm.
big if coming back from big injuries.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think Phillips and Bradley Chubb could have been two of our three for both of us with if they can get them back healthy and doing what they do.
Yeah,
Other than that, then it is we're going to come on to it now in a second with the over and unders, but there's so much of this is ifs and maybes. If they can keep the people fit, then they could have a good season, but they're just massive ifs because they haven't shown any sign of keeping anyone healthy in the last couple of years.
yeah. Well, with the 7.5 wins, I'm not sure how good they're going to be, but I think they'll be good enough to get 8 wins. I think they have enough to get there. So I'm going to go with the over on this one. I don't think they're going to light the world on fire, and they might not get even many more than 8 wins, but I do see them getting to that point.
I actually went under.
Okay. I think it's one of those
I
ones
just
that's pretty
think
close.
yeah, I think with the injury history of Tua, the injury history of the two boys that are coming back, I think if any of the three of them go down again, then they are in big trouble again. And I just said I think 7 wins will be realistic for them, 7 to 9. But I just thought 7 was more realistic than 9 was, so I just went with the under
Yeah, and for their ceiling, then what do you think if everything went perfect?
9.
Nine.
9 wins,
Yeah.
the same as I could have just copy and pasted my answers for the last two for the Patriots up here as well because I think I said the exact same thing for the two of them. I think 9 wins is their ceiling. I don't think they're pushing playoff levels.
Yeah, I think the two teams have similar enough level rosters, and I think the Patriots had a lot of cap space and stuff, so they maybe have more unproven guys. But then the Dolphins have people that have come off big injuries, which is hard to return from. So
Mm.
I think for me, what I said the ceiling, I didn't give a win total. I just said to finish second in the division, because I think the Bills are gonna run away with it. But enough that would give them a wild card spot at an absolute push. But I just still don't see them winning the playoff game, even with the fact that they may get there through a wild card. I just think that with their injury history across the roster, it's just I don't think I can go any further than to say that. So that's my an absolute push.
Mm.
Right, so we'll move on then to the draft portion for this week. I'm looking forward to this one because I think it's really interesting. So Shane picked the topic this week, and we've gone back and forth picking them out. So this week Shane went with the option we had on our doc of the best coaches in the NFL, NBA, and Premier League in the 21st century. So since 2000. So I think
I went first.
you went first last week, so that leaves
Hmm.
me to go first this time. Yeah, I think that makes it easy for me because there's one person I obviously want more than
Yeah,
anybody, and you know that it's going to be this
there's
way.
one
But
person. Yeah, I was going to take him as well.
so I'm going with first overall, Alex Ferguson. 7 titles since 2000 alone, 13 in total, but 7 titles since 2000, since that is the exercise. Just unbelievable manager. Basically, the whole history of Man United since when I was young is just everything about Man United was him, and love learning about basically from when he came into the team and everything he did to change the club. So I think he's probably the best football manager of all time and possibly one of the best sporting managers ever. So yeah, I've got him as my first.
Yeah, that was a pretty easy one for you. So my first two, I'm going to take Bill Belichick. For what he did in the NFL was just outrageous. What he did with the Patriots, he just turned them into the most dominant NFL team of all time. And after him, then I'm going to stick in Pep Guardiola. Just what he has done. Like, I know it's been backed with money a lot, but he is a genius. The things he does, turning midfielders into fullbacks, it drives me insane, but it works at times. He had the Messi, Suarez, Neymar running. He had won the treble there. Everywhere he goes, he just brings success. I just think he might be one of the best football managers after Fergie.
Yeah, yeah. No, I on my list I had him as the next football manager to come, but I had a couple of guys before him from other sports, so hard to argue with that. And I like the Belichick pick, just winning 6 rings with the Patriots, like, and yeah, I think he's probably, if not the second or third best, maybe the best head coach in NFL history. So we're
Mm.
lucky to have got to see some of his teams in action. But next, then I'll get my next two off the list. They're actually both NBA coaches. So Greg Popovich, I think,
Yeah.
is probably the best answer here. Most wins in NBA history, and 1,390. Recently retired from being a head coach because of health complications, but utterly unbelievable with the San Antonio Spurs. 5 rings in total. One of them was in 1999, so 4 rings since 2000. I just think, yeah, that he's the best NBA coach. I think probably one of the best ever, and definitely the best since the 2000s, in my opinion. So I actually hit him second overall out of everybody, so I'm happy I got to get him. Then next is Phil Jackson. Now, what he did was unbelievable with the Bulls before it got to the 2000s. So that alone is just outstanding. But we're focusing on the 2000s here, so let's just think about the fact that he won 5 more rings then in the 2000s,
Yeah.
from 2001 to 2003. Three-peat. This is the third one of his career, as he did it twice with the Bulls, two three-peats. And then again in 2009 and 2010, all 5 of those being with the Lakers. 11 rings in total. He doesn't even have enough fingers for all the rings he has.
Yeah.
Just unbelievable. 5 rings since 2000 alone. So he's got to be in there for me.
Yeah, so they were the next two on my list as well, and I probably should have taken one of them over Pep. But anyway, moving on. So I'm going to go with Andy Reid next. Turns that Chiefs team into a bit of a dynasty in itself. Not quite to Bill Belichick levels, but like they were nowhere near 2 years ago to being a team that should be winning a Super Bowl, and they went and done it. I know this year didn't go as well for them, but this year went the way the 2 years before should have went, and they actually won it. So I just think he's a genius. What he does, how he gets turns like average looking players into world beaters for a season,
Hmm.
and then off they go on their trot then again and never have a season like it again. He's clearly a really, really good motivator, good man management. He's loved by Mahomes, which says a whole lot as well because Mahomes seems like he's very hard to get on with. So
Oh,
I just think
Jesus.
he's a really, really good coach.
I did
And
not see that at all, but anyway.
and then Steve Kerr is my next pick. I
Ah,
just really like him as a coach. I don't know if he's anything special really, but I just think he did a great job with that Warriors team. He turned them into a dynasty for a while as well. Like again, he was surrounded by superstars, but the superstars still need to be managed, and he just did a really good job of it.
yeah, I I had those as my next two in that order as well. I just think the Andy Reid pick is like the fact he was so with the Eagles for so long and he just couldn't get the ring. And then, like you said, the first ring he won with the Chiefs, like that they weren't expected to be so good so quickly when Mahomes took over from Alex Smith. And then
Hmm.
since then he's just made them into a winning machine. So yeah, for me, after Belichick since 2000, he's up there, and then Kerr as well. He was next, but I'll move on then to my last two picks. Next up for me is the special one, Jose Mourinho. I think what he's done in the game of football has been amazing, but specifically for that Chelsea team between 2004 and 2007, um, just yeah, like the defense that they had, so amazing. He's one of the best defensive coaches I think we've ever seen in football, and he kind of doesn't care. He wears his heart on his sleeve. He's managed Chelsea again, obviously winning a title with them
Hmm.
again the second time, so three in total. Then he went on to manage United, I think the best finish they've had since post Alex Ferguson. So he clearly did very well there. And then he managed Spurs too. So a lot of teams in the Premier League, maybe more successful earlier on than late, but his impact on the game is massive for me. And
Hmm.
then next up, in a similar vein to what um, Andy Reid can do by bringing the best out of guys who you might not expect the best from. It's Eric Spoelstra with the Heat since 2008, longest tenured head coach right now in the NBA, and he's got two rings to show for it as well. I think it was 2012 and 2013, but he can just turn guys who are undrafted or drafted in the late second round or whatever and just turn them into amazing players. They get a big payday somewhere else and they never perform the same. So that's worth a
Yeah.
whole lot in my book. So that's my last pick.
Yeah, so he was on my list as well. So was Mike Tomlin, but I'm not going to put him now. I just think he's never had a winning season. Sorry,
Mm.
he's never had a losing season. Apologies.
Hmm.
That's absolutely insane. This one was a tough one because I obviously really wanted to put Jurgen Klopp in here, but I don't think he is in the top five greatest managers of all time. I'm actually going to put in Carlo Ancelotti. I think
Ooh.
the man is a genius. He has five Champions Leagues, has won titles in every country he's gone to. I think he's won it in four of the top five European leagues. He won it in France, Italy, Spain, and Germany. I think there's a lot to be said for that. I just think he is. I think he's a class act, and he's probably a better manager than Klopp was. So he gets my final pick. I wanted Eric Spoelstra, but you got him ahead of me, so
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
left
no.
stranded.
I think yeah, it was like I wish we saw more of him in the Premier League as well. Like he did
Yeah,
so well with Chelsea, and then obviously it was a bit of a weird one when he was with Everton as well. So I feel like we should have got more of him in the Premier League really, but yeah, he's hard to argue with him. Unbelievable manager. I'm disappointed I
I'd
didn't
like.
get. Sorry, go ahead.
Go on. I was just going to say that I can see Brazil actually winning the World Cup next time. I know they've had a really poor start to qualifying, but with him in charge, he's a born winner. Wouldn't surprise me if he managed to pull them together to win the World Cup.
Yeah, no, hard to argue with that. I think he's an unbelievable manager, and I think if he picks guys that are based in Brazil as well and works with them, I think it could work out
Hmm.
very well. But I'm disappointed. I was going to say I'm disappointed I didn't get an NFL coach, but the only two I had that got into the top 10 were Belichick and Reid. So gonna have
Hmm.
to sit that side of it out. But yeah, my five were Alex Ferguson, Popovich, Phil Jackson, Jose Mourinho, and Eric Spoelstra.
And I had Bill Belichick, Pep Guardiola, Andy Reid, Steve Kerr, and Carlo Ancelotti.
Nice one. So that's pretty much it. That's what we've got for you lads this week. Hope you enjoyed the episode, and we'll catch you again next time.